Speaking of cheating, does anybody get caught cheating and not win as often as Stewart Haas? That sons of have been caught a couple times a year.
Every smart person in this industry should be looking at everything. Somebody looked at gloves and said, maybe it was Joey.
Hey there, race fans. Today, we bring to you all the latest drama and excitement from the NASCAR world. While the photo finish record-breaking victory with mere 0.003 seconds between drivers, Daniel Suarez, Ryan Blaney, and Kyle Busch stole the limelight. There was a lot of buzz around a couple of teams involved in cheating. From Joey Logano's ingenious glove trick to the hefty penalties handed down to Stewart Haas Racing, there's no shortage of thrills and controversies. So buckle up as we shed light on all the details around drivers cheating at the Ambetter Health 400 Atlanta race that led to penalties. But before we dive deep into the action, subscribe to our channel. Let's kick things off with a jaw-dropping move by Joey Logano and his team. In a bid for a competitive edge, Logano modified his gloves to reduce drag during qualifying at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Yes, you heard that right, gloves. By webbing his index finger and thumb together, Logano aimed to streamline airflow and gain an advantage on the track.
Number 10 and the number 41 teams at Stewart Haas Racing have been assessed an L1 level penalty for the roof air deflectors that NASCAR officials confiscated last weekend at Atlanta. After investigation, the parts were found to not be in compliance with the rule book. Each team will be penalized 35 owner points, and drivers Noah Gragson and Ryan Preece also will be docked 35 driver points. Additionally, Joey Logano has been fined $10,000 for a safety violation, specifically NASCAR's responsibilities and driver protective clothing equipment rule. Logano's gloves during NASCAR Cup Series qualifying were found to have been modified and did not meet the approved specification.
As expected, two-time NASCAR Cup Series champion Joey Logano has been assessed a $10,000 fine by NASCAR officials for violating sections 14.3.1.1a and b and f of the NASCAR Cup Series rulebook, which specifically cites responsibilities and driver protective clothing equipment. According to NASCAR, Logano was originally penalized on the morning of the 400-mile race after it was discovered that the Team Penske driver had illegally modified his glove in an attempt to gain a competitive advantage when sticking his left hand out the window during single-vehicle qualifying. While the move initially went unnoticed, NASCAR officials quickly caught wind of the unconventional tactic, leading to a $10,000 fine for Logano and a penalty that dropped him to the back of the grid.
Now, outside pole sitter Joey Logano will have to drop to the rear because of a violation. Look at Logano's left glove that he holds up to block the airflow through the open part of the window. Look at the webbing between the thumb and forefinger like a baseball glove. That is modifying an SFI-approved part. That is not permitted. Logano will drop to the rear.
The monetary fine serves as a follow-up to a pre-race penalty handed down on Sunday, which required Logano, the second-place qualifier for the event, to start at the rear of the pack and serve a drive-through penalty in the NASCAR Cup Series Ambetter Health 400. While the NASCAR community was divided on this topic, with many of them calling the Penske driver a cheat, it impressed Dale Earnhardt Jr. the most. Dale Jr., being a driver himself, understood the need for Logano and his team to use these cheeky tactics. He even lauded him for this stunt in his podcast show, Dale Jr. Download.
Everybody's talking about this. Joey has these webbed gloves, so he wore them in qualifying at Daytona. Got the pole. They filled the fingers with a web material, so when he sticks his hand out the window in front of the window net, it's knocking air off the rear spoiler. Teams years ago came to Daytona with clear vinyl sewn behind the window net. You know, you can't run clear vinyl behind to block the air from going into the car, right? This is what happens when you have a race car and you control every inch of it, and creativity or flexibility, when teams have nowhere else to look for an advantage, they're going to find these quirky little spaces to work in, right? Every smart person in this industry should be looking at everything. Somebody looked at gloves and said, maybe it was Joey. You know, maybe Joey's like, I've been sticking my hand out the window. I've been doing this for you guys for several years now. What if we did something to the glove and made it even better, right? Maybe Joey had this idea. Who knows?
But Logano wasn't the only one feeling the heat from NASCAR officials. Stewart Haas Racing found themselves in hot water yet again, this time for illegal parts on their cars. Number 10, driver Noah Gragson, and number 41, Ryan Preece, were both assessed with the loss of 35 NASCAR Cup Series driver and owner points after violating sections 14.5.6.1a and b and c of the NASCAR Cup Series rulebook, which cites a problem with the roof air deflectors on the 2 Ford Mustang Dark Horse entries. As per the NASCAR rulebook, roof air deflectors must consist of parts outlined in Section 1, 4.5.6.1. Additionally, they must meet the following criteria: be constructed of 0.05-inch thick aluminum, be installed perpendicular in the applicable slots, must not interfere with the functioning of the roof flaps, and must be painted. NASCAR Senior VP of Competition Elton Sawyer on Sirius XM NASCAR Radio said, "It's a team part, but it has to meet the CAD drawing, and in this case, it didn't meet that." These penalties have been looming in the distance since NASCAR confiscated the roof rail deflectors from both the number 10 and number 41 entries before any on-track activity at Atlanta Motor Speedway. These penalties will have a significant impact on both drivers in point standings heading to Las Vegas, as with 35-point penalties, Preece will drop to 36th place in NASCAR Cup Series point standings, while Noah Gragson will slot in directly behind in 37th. With Preece sitting at 0 points and Gragson in the negative, it's been a rough start to the season for the SHR team. Will they bounce back from this setback? Only time will tell. Unfortunately, Stewart Haas Racing isn't any stranger to major penalties being assessed by the sanctioning body. Last season, following the Coca-Cola 600 in May, the number 14 Ford Mustang was handed the first ever L 3-level penalty. Briscoe, the driver of the number 14 then, and now the most experienced driver at Stewart Haas Racing, was docked 120 points from the penalty last season, while the organization itself was fined $250,000 and lost crew chief Johnny Klausmeier for 6 races. Reflecting on this 2311 racing spotter, Fredie Kraft, and popular Door Bumper Clear podcaster, took a sly dig at Tony Stewart and his crew, mocking them for cheating.
Speaking of cheating, does anybody get caught cheating and not win as often as Stewart Haas? It seems like since we went to this new car,
well,
and what was it, roof rails this week? They
2 cars got caught.
Yeah, this is the 3rd or 4th time Stewart Haas has got a penalty, and they haven't been that good in 2 years. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They keep getting
but
caught.
he won, didn't he?
No, did he win? No.
Yeah,
maybe.
that might have been. It was
Maybe
like
he
Vegas
won.
or something.
Yeah, that was 2 years ago, right? Because he didn't
That was
win
like
last
2
year.
or 3. Yeah, that was a while ago.
Yeah, but that might have been their last win. But
Like when the season started, I put a list together and said, all right, who's on the hot seat? And I said, every SHR driver. Like there isn't one driver that I would look at and say they're safe.
It might not seem like a lot, but motorsport is a game of fine margins. With strict regulations on car design, drivers and crews are constantly searching for innovative ways to maximize performance. From subtle tweaks to daring gambits, every detail matters when it comes to gaining that crucial advantage on race day. It's a game of inches, or in this case, millimeters, where even the smallest adjustment can make a world of difference. And speaking of adjustments, NASCAR's penalties serve as a reminder that there's a fine line between innovation and rule breaking. While Logano's glove trick may have been a stroke of genius, it ultimately landed him in hot water with officials. Likewise, Stewart Haas Racing's run-ins with NASCAR over illegal parts underscore the high stakes and intense scrutiny faced by teams in the sport. In the quest for victory, teams must navigate a complex web of regulations and restrictions, all while pushing the limits of what's possible on the track. So, what's next for Logano, Stewart Haas Racing, and the rest of the NASCAR field? With each race comes new challenges, new opportunities, and new drama waiting to unfold. Whether it's a daring strategy call, a controversial penalty, or a thrilling finish under the lights, one thing's for sure. The excitement never stops in NASCAR, so stay tuned, race fans, because you never know what's just around the corner on the road to victory lane. That's all for today, folks. For more adrenaline-pumping action in the world of NASCAR, hit that like button, share, and subscribe. Until then, keep the conversations going on Lucky Dog on Track.